So, we finally got the Splatoon 3 release date, and let me just say, YES! So, we got some things to talk about here. Number one, the most obvious thing, the timing here is incredibly uncanny. It almost makes you think there was a little freak out in the Splatoon community over Nintendo going over a year and 2 months without giving us a release date. I think Nintendo probably saw the big freak out of the community and threw this together last minute, probably because they realized, yeah, maybe we've been keeping our cards a little too close to the chest with Splatoon 3, especially with Zelda moving back to 2023. It's going to be Nintendo's biggest game of the year. So I think the combination of those two made Nintendo want to make this announcement when they did, which, okay, as long as we actually get news here. So I want to talk just quickly about the music. I'm going to be talking about a lot of random thoughts I have here. This is a rambling video, so get tight. For one, the new clickbait absolutely slaps. There are no other opinions about this. Mine is correct. Nintendo could not have made a better song to be the main song of Splatoon 3. I have heard complaints about the new Now or Never sounding weird, but personally I like it. Also, this is a confirmation that Nintendo's New Year's post did indeed have Now or Never playing in the background, and here's a little comparison. But the probably biggest thing I want to touch on here is the whole release date thing, and to start, I want to pose a little idea. I think this game's development has been a lot messier than we originally thought it was behind the scenes, and we've got some evidence to support this. For one, if you didn't know, the developers in Nintendo that developed Splatoon also develop Animal Crossing, and it's super ironic that they'd make one of Nintendo's fastest paced games and their slowest. But they developed both games, and they just dropped Animal Crossing DLC a few months ago, which means the two teams were split on developing both games. This is the first time both games worked simultaneously together on all of Animal Crossing and with Splatoon 3, and I think the cracks in splitting the team are showing. I think the most of us can agree we were expecting a July or August release date, but mostly a July one. So the whole Xenoblade switch to July was definitely not because it was done early, but because they had to fill a release slot because Splatoon 3 would not have been ready in time. If Xenoblade were done 2 months early and Splatoon 3 was going to be ready in time, they would not have pushed Xenoblade ahead still. They would have kept it in September and given Splatoon 3 the more popular July release slot. Nintendo can sit on games. According to Miyamoto, Pikmin 4 has been finished since the Wii U era, but I don't know, that could have been an exaggeration on it, since it should have come out now at some point, especially since they dropped Pikmin 3 Deluxe. But regardless, if Splatoon 3 was ready by July, it would have come out then. The empty July slot was basically a guarantee at that point in which we thought it was going to come out, that it was going to come out in July. If Splatoon 3 was ready by July, it would have come out then. But there's nothing we can really do there. Another thing to think about is that if Splatoon 3 was originally teased back in 2020, and if you're willing to stretch like I am 2019 when Nintendo teased the whole Where's Marina thing around Christmas 2019, I think that was really our first hint. No way Nintendo didn't know that that was going to get us thinking about the plot of Splatoon 3. But if you don't believe that, when we still have the whole Save Our Stem and stuff from New Year's 2020 post, which was only a month later, so they were kind of trying to hint at us then. I mean, the stuff must have been at super early stages since Animal Crossing New Horizons wasn't even out yet. But if I had to give my timeline thoughts here, Splatoon 3 was probably originally confirmed before Chaos vs. Order. Yes, I know Nogami said after Chaos vs. Order Splatoon 3 wasn't in development, but that man is a liar and he knew it. I'd assume Splatoon 3 was in the early concept phase until Animal Crossing dropped, and by then the pandemic hit, so development had a massive wrench thrown in it. So development was probably going really slowly throughout all of 2020, and around the time we finally see the first Splatoon 3 reveal is when I guess around the time development started ramping back up again, just because of how the state of the world was going. But not at the pace that it's moving at right now. Like I said earlier, Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise was still in development, and it wasn't finished until November 5th. So all throughout February through November, the two development teams were split, which is fine for developing some DLC, but not exactly fine for trying to develop the biggest game in a series. All of this stuff is my theory as to why the game flip-flopping has gone on. Feel free to believe it or not, but I've gone on rambling about that long enough, and I've got a few more things I want to touch on before the end of the video. For one, it was revealed that there's going to be one version of Splatoon 3. What that means is that there's only going to be global Splatfests from now on, hopefully, which for some stupid reason I've seen people around the community unhappy about. What one version of the game means is that we have multi-language support in the game, but like I said, most importantly is that if Splatfests come back, which remember, there's no guarantee on if they're coming back or not, they could have been replaced with something else, but if they do, they will all be global, which is freaking awesome. The whole issue of certain teams not having enough people on them to play and have to face your own team can see a little bit of a remedy here. And most importantly of all, region locking can't exactly happen. And what I mean by this is that you couldn't use all the Japanese exclusive gear because it wouldn't work on the US and European versions of the game. It's important to know that this still could happen, but that would mean that Nintendo would have to deliberately work on making ways to divide the regions for Splatoon 3, even though they're not doing a region version of the game. And that's work for Nintendo, and this is the same company that charges subscriptions for almost 40-year-old games here. So it's kind of safe to say that Nintendo probably doesn't want to do the work on that when they don't have to. Also, I found something I haven't seen a lot of people talking about, and that's the fact that they have changed the dialogue and the Octo Expansion's eShop page. They added a line of text which reads, "With the Splatoon 3 game on the horizon, the single-player DLC is the perfect way to get some practice before you take on the Splatlands." We have really no idea what this means. This could be some promotion for Splatoon 3 like it says, it could be promotion for Octo Expansion joining the online expansion pass, or if you're crazy like me, you can choose to believe Octo Expansion is going to have some impact on Splatoon 3's story. Some last few touching points here is that if you've been following Nintendo's Twitter accounts, they've been dropping more Splatoon 3 footage than what's been seen on the trailer. You can go dig around for that, it's not hard to find. More of the weapons have names now. The bow class is called the Stringer, and the bow that we've seen in all the trailers is called the Tri-Stringer. The vacuum special is called the Ink Vac, and desperately needs a real animation for sucking up ink being thrown at you, because the ink just disappearing is kinda cringe. And finally, for this video, is the fact that DLC has already been confirmed. Yes, already, and I don't want to hear people saying, well, paid content could mean something else. No, it doesn't. If Nintendo for some reason means microtransactions by this, I will delete my channel. Well, actually, it could mean a battle pass. Has anyone entertained the idea of a battle pass yet? I don't think so. I'll do it. So, paid content has already been confirmed, and we can see on Splatoon 3's store page where it says that. So, it means either one of two things. Or, honestly, hopefully both. Either A, we are going to get another paid story expansion, which is, I think it's guaranteed. I mean, do we really think there will be another mainline Splatoon game without a separate paid story? Or B, Nintendo could take a Battle Pass approach here and do seasons of the game, which honestly I hope they do. I think it could help the live service aspect of Splatoon and make it more profitable longer, which could then help keep getting the game more frequent updates. Like, imagine a Splatoon game that gets frequent content updates for like 4 years. We could get a new map or two like every season, and the game just goes on for like 4 years. Like, if Nintendo did that and like kept developing battle passes while working on, I don't know, Splatoon 4 for whatever system comes after the Switch, we could seriously never have to go through another content drought again, because Nintendo would always have a financial reason to keep the game going. Like, I know a lot of people hate the idea of the Battle Pass, but let's be real, I know you same people would be buying the Battle Pass every season it drops. It's a non-predatory way for Nintendo to keep fueling themselves, and it would seriously benefit us if they did that. I think a Battle Pass would be really cool, and honestly might be worth its own video, so I think I'm going to do that soon. But for now, the Madman's ramblings are over. This went on a lot longer than I thought it would. Like, I've been working on this script since like 4 hours after the release date trailer dropped. Splatoon fans finally eaten after Nintendo has been starving us for 2 months. Alright gamers, that is it from me. See ya.